Hey everyone, it's Movie Lover 120 here, and I'm here with the brand new movie rant. This is gonna be for my next Star Wars review, except this time it's not gonna be a review. It's gonna be a rant, because we are now on to, well, before I get to that a bit, most of you probably know, I did not like The Force Awakens, because it was just a lazy copy of A New Hope. And it made Anakin's redemption pointless. But, however, there were still at least some good qualities like Han Solo and Chewbacca, at least, and Leia's role at least, and plus at least Finn, who was probably the only really decent character of the new characters who could have been developed way more because he had such an interesting little story to him, being this stormtrooper who turns against his army and joins the heroes. Actually had potential to be kind of a good character arc. So, but I still had hopes for the next movie. Like, maybe this was only the first installment. Maybe I thought it would get better. After all, Force Awakens was just the beginning. But unfortunately, the movie, I learned why you should never overhype a movie or get too excited for a movie. The movie that taught me that lesson was none other than this stupid, absolute, god-awful, atrocious Star Wars The Ass Jedi. Oh wait, I'm sorry. Star Wars The Last Jedi. Ugh. I prefer Ass Jedi better. No, like, fuck this movie. Oh my god. This one is easily the worst Star Wars movie in existence. Yes, prequel haters, I hate this more. I hate this one the most. Rise of Skywalker may be terrible, but, this one is atrocious. It's terrible. First time, I didn't mind it. First time I saw it in theaters opening weekend, I didn't mind it, but, then second time, I liked it slightly less, but then got this DVD. When I watched it on DVD, I hated it so bad. It's so dumb. There's no redeeming qualities. Like, oh my god, this is one of the worst sequels I ever watched in my life. Here's what I'm going to get to. But first I'm going to say the plot. So basically, Luke Skywalker's peaceful and solitary existence gets appended when he encounters Rey, the Mary Sue from The Force Awakens. Her desire to learn the ways of the Jedi forces Luke to make a decision that changes their lives forever by doing absolutely nothing. Meanwhile, Kylo Ren and General Hux lead the First Order, or Kylo Ren, anyways, in an all-out assault against Leia and the Resistance for supremacy of the galaxy. Oh my god. Once again, I hate this movie so bad. There's no redeeming qualities. This barely feels like a Star Wars movie at all. I mean, at least the last one tried to be a Star Wars movie, sort of. At least it still had some Star Wars elements in it. What the hell was this? This is not Star Wars. Like, seriously. Like, the movie suffers from simplistic and poor setups for concepts and scenes. Like, explanation of why the First Order is so powerful is a single sentence in the opening crawl, which declares that they now reign, and how the Resistance ships are faster and can keep out of range from the First Order ships as cannon are ineffective against their shields, and that they wouldn't last long burning fuel like this. It's not only false, since the Resistance ships never pull away from the First Order ships despite supposedly being faster, but also doesn't fit with anything that has ever been depicted in Star Wars 4, and that feels contrived. The viewers even expected to know everything from ancillary material, and it's always been a very questionable practice for movies, and they used a rather washed out gritty color palette template typically seen in war films, and not using bright colors like every other Star Wars movie does, and it looks rather faded and dull. It's so unfinished. Ugh. The sloppy approach to casualty and continuity results in frequent cases of what can only be described as teleportation, where characters simply appearing where the plot society they ought to be. Like, for example, Rey and Chewbacca arrive at the supremacy in the Millennium Falcon, even though they logically should know where the supremacy is at. Let them know it exists, and Finn, Rose, so I'm going to get to in a bit, guys. and DJ arrive at this piracy, even though they should know where it is at this point. Even objects are affected by this, like a knife-like weapon belonging to one of the Praetorian guards seeming to disappear in the next shot so Rey wouldn't be impaled, allowing her to defeat him so easily. Phasma is the opposite end of Primacy's hand or babe after Holdo's Kamikaze, despite initially beating her Finn and Rose, and BB-8, it just goes on. It shares the same problems as predecessor by lazily recycling plot points from a specific installment of the original trilogy. This time it not only rehashes Empire Strikes Back, but also Return of the Jedi. So yeah, this is like also a shitty version of Empire Strikes Back. Like, good guys are chased out by their main base. Force-sensitive hero finds Jedi Master in exile on a remote planet, ostensibly to train. However, Jedi Master is not what the hero expects, but at least there's a difference. Yoda actually trained Luke and did something. Luke Skywalker is just this grumpy old jerk. I'll get more to Luke in a bit, guys, but who does absolutely nothing. Yeah, but yeah, as you can know, like, Luke Skywalker finally does appear full appearance in this movie, and I was very hyped to see him again, but this is not who he is. Like, the beginning scene, it picks up right where Force Awakens left off. He takes Rey's lightsaber, except guess what? He chucks it like it's some joke, and he just walks off, like, stomps away like this. That just goes sulks to his home. Then Rey goes and basically Rey and Chewie fall back to his huts. Except the first thing he finally hear him speak, and he says, "Go away," as the very first thing we hear from him. Something real Luke would never say in the original trilogy. Or he would definitely not throw his father's lightsaber like it was just nothing but crap. So yeah, they absolutely destroyed Luke Skywalker. They make him this grumpy old jackass who basically tries to kill his own nephew for almost turning to the dark side, which something Luke was able to convince his father there was still good in him. But with his nephew, he tries to automatically kill him. Like, the hell was just what? Was Ruin Johnson on cracked meth when he directed this? What the hell? Ugh. Like, there's several plot points, there's some of the pre-film that are ignored and have no payoff, and Supreme Leader Snoke is actually a good character, one of the only best things out of this whole movie, and he's killed off all of a sudden without having any backstory motives explained. It just relies on shock value as a way to get a reaction from the audience, and there's no meaning payoff to this. It's still the same generic good versus evil formula, and it doesn't make sense because Snoke could see into Kylo's mind that he couldn't. If he could, why didn't he sense the lightsaber turning around? Like, Rey's parents, oh yeah, Rey's parents are apparently, turns out, you want to know what Rey's parents are? Nope, they're just nobodies who sold her off for drinking money. And Knights of Ren are absent, and only indirectly mentioned by Luke. Finn now knows how to pilot spaceships, even though he didn't even know to do so in the previous film. Never explained how the lightsaber that once belonged to Anakin Skywalker was recovered after being dropped to the atmosphere of a gas giant in Empire Strikes Back. Captain Phasma returns with no explanation as to how she survived getting thrown into a trash compactor or a planet that was blown up. And the loss of Starkiller Base seems to have made the First Order stronger for some reason. And Snoke, who's seen Kylo Ren in his Mighty Duck helmet in Force Awakens, automatically dislikes it, but I kind of like that because even I dislike that stupid helmet. And Finn's spinal injury is simply cured the first time we see him, even though he was badly injured from a lightsaber from The Force Awakens. Rey was suddenly interested in the identities of her parents and wants to know who they were, even though that was not even the case of previous film. In The Force Awakens, she only wanted parental figures and was waiting for her actual family to return, and then accepted they would never return to get her, so that whole thing makes no sense. There's constant clucky attempts of humor, especially, like the opening sequence. Opening fight has this stupid Yo Mama joke delivered to a character who is supposed to be powerful and threatening, but no. Sorry, but the film has several internal contradictions, including but not limited to especially Snoke being unaware of his own flagship has a hyperspace tracking device on board. Rey lived on a desert planet as a child and thus has never seen Rey before, but somehow knows how to swim before having left Jakku only a few days earlier, and no time having elapsed for her to return. Alright, Admiral. And Finn goes from assuming that hyperspace tracking is impossible to later revealing that he mopped the break room for the trucker of supremacy in between scenes. And then let's not forget, another bad character in this movie, Rose Tico. Ugh, man. Rose is easily the worst Star Wars character ever. Like, just so many stupid things. He basically prevents Finn from going able to help Rey. And basically has this hypocritical message about saving the ones we love, even though technically, near the end, when they're on that planet, and Finn's trying to sacrifice himself, driving into the cannon to stop the First Order from killing the whole rebellion, guess what? She ruins his sacrifice, dodges him out of the way, and then immediately says, "I saved you, dummy." And then the cannon just blasts at their base, dooming the rebellion. So yeah, she screwed over everybody. And basically caused Luke Skywalker's death, because then Luke Skywalker would have to use that, basically, before he gets to that part, Luke Skywalker sees like this vision of Yoda, and that was also another only good thing about this movie, is at least Yoda comes back, so yeah. Yoda's come back, and we think, at first it seems like Luke has returned to help the Resistance, right? Well, guess what? Apparently it was just a forced vision projection, and he never even leaves the island at all. So yeah, the whole scene was just useless. Like, he should have actually left. It would have actually made the scene way better if it were actually him. But no. Ruin Johnson and Crazy Kennedy don't know anything about Star Wars, and they don't know anything about Luke Skywalker. Even Mark Hamill himself hated how Luke Skywalker was portrayed, and he was forced to go along with it. I actually felt bad that Mark Hamill had to go through with this. Like, there's more simplistic battle scenes and turn-based ones, and also another similar thing to Force Awakens. The acting of this film is just very mediocre. And it's nobody's fault, guys. It's the script writers I'm blaming for this. Daisy really just wide opens her eyes and stands around with her mouth open to express every type of emotion, and if there's anything, Daisy really even confirmed that the sequel trilogy had no planning at all. No. And Luke Skywalker does learn about Han Solo's death, really, but it was and they filmed his reaction to it, but it was ultimately cut from the film, and the scene just ends after Luke asks about him upon realizing the Millennium Falcon is on his island, but Han is nowhere to be seen. Instead, they filmed this dumb, gross, disgusting scene of Luke drinking green alien titty milk instead, which is probably the grossest scene of all of Star Wars. Some uninspired, clearly flawed ship designs. Most of the characters have dramatic problems. Like, Rey's still that overpowered Mary Sue protagonist, and a very dull one. And suddenly knows the Force after roughly one lesson from Luke. Supreme Leader Snoke isn't really a threatening villain, but he's actually one of the few best things of the whole movie, really. Luke can now use Force to fly through space. Their scene just feels like a Deus Ex Machina. And Poe Dameron's arc consists of him getting demoted for making what is retrospectively the only correct decision, really, being constantly talked down to all the time. And Admiral Holdo, oh my god, another worst character. God, I don't want to even talk about Holdo. She just pisses me off the most. Oh my god. Like I said, this doesn't feel like a Star Wars movie. And yeah. The ending sequence, like, almost all the Resistance is screwed. And somehow people are happy? And they're all hugging each other? Luke Skywalker just died, and the Resistance is almost entirely decimated, and the protagonists are all cheering. Wow. Oh my god. But yeah. So all in all, The Last Jedi can go burn in hell, and this movie can go rot on Mustafar where it belongs. The end. Well, okay. And then the next one would be The Rise of Skywalker, but I thankfully reviewed that movie last year, and I don't have to talk about it ever again. So anyway, that's finally it for my rant on The Last Jedi, and here's how I rank it. I am going to give this piece of shit a 2 out of 10. And with that, the sequel trilogy is all complete. Up next, only 2 more to go. That was Rogue One and Solo, but those can wait till next week. But yeah, other than that, the whole Skywalker saga, or as Disney claims to be, their version, is finally finished. Skywalker saga is only 6 movies. And that's how it's going to stay. Anyway, that'll be it for this rant. Thank you all for watching. If you like this and want to see more, and don't forget to like, subscribe to Movie Lover 120.